All right, let's talk about a piece of tech you probably walk past every single day and never even think about. The humble motion sensor. It's a seriously brilliant little device, and today we're going to explain exactly how it pulls off its magic tricks.
You know the ones I'm talking about, right? That little white dome thing, usually up in the corner of a ceiling or on a wall. They're in offices, stores, maybe on your neighbor's porch. They're so common, they've just kind of faded into the background of our lives. But have you ever stopped to wonder what's really going on inside one of these things?
Because here's the weird part. There's no camera lens on it. There's no little eyeball staring back at you. And yet, the second you move, it knows you're there. It sees you without actually seeing. So how on earth does it do that? Well, that's the big question we're going to answer.
To get to the bottom of this, we're going to do what we do best, a little digital teardown. We are going to peel back the layers of this device, one by one, and uncover the secrets hiding right under that little plastic dome.
So here it is, the whole shebang. The official name for this gadget is a passive infrared sensor, or just PIR for short. Now, that name is actually a huge clue, and we're going to come back to exactly what it means in just a minute. Okay, first things first, let's get that cover off. We're going to pop off that milky white plastic dome because what we find underneath, that's the real heart of the whole operation. And there we have it. This little circuit board has everything it needs. You see that big black rectangle? That's kind of the brain. It's a chip called the BIS ACE0001 that does all the thinking. But the real star of the show, the part that actually does the seeing, is that small metal can sitting over there. That's the eye of the sensor. So, if that metal can is the eye, what's it actually looking at? Well, the answer isn't light, it's heat. And this is where the science gets really, really cool. Remember that name, passive infrared? Let's break it down. Everything around us that has a temperature, including you and me, is constantly giving off this invisible energy, this infrared radiation. You can think of it like a heat signature. And the passive part is key. It means this sensor doesn't shoot out any lasers or beams. No, it just sits there, quietly, watching the infrared world go by. Now, here's where the design gets super clever. I mean, if it just looked for any infrared light, a hot bay could set it off, right? The solution is pure genius. The actual sensor inside that little metal can is split into two separate halves. And when everything's still, they both see the exact same amount of background heat from the room, and their signals completely cancel each other out. It's in a perfect state of balance. So, here's the most important thing to get. The device isn't detecting heat itself, it's detecting the motion of a heat source. As your warm body moves, you first cross in front of one half of the sensor. That creates a positive spike in the signal. Then, as you keep moving and cross the other half, it creates a negative spike. And this diagram shows it perfectly. That unique up and down pulse is the unmistakable signature of something moving. And here is a close-up of that sensor, the pyroelectric element. Now, pyroelectric is really just a fancy way of saying it's a special material that creates a tiny bit of voltage when it heats up or cools down. And it's tucked inside this sealed metal can to protect it from all sorts of interference. Electrical noise, humidity, even a draft of cool air, making sure it only reacts to what it's supposed to, you moving around. Okay, so we get how the sensor works, but that's only half the story. That tiny sensor can really only see two little spots right in front of it. So how does it cover an entire room? Well, the answer goes all the way back to that plastic dome we took off at the beginning. It turns out that simple, cheap-looking piece of plastic is anything but simple. It's actually a super sophisticated piece of optical engineering, and it's what gives that tiny little sensor its superpowers. From the outside, the dome looks pretty boring, right? Just smooth plastic. But when you look at the inside, whoa! You can see it's covered in all these intricate patterns and ridges. This is not for looks. Every single one of those little segments is its own individual lens. This is what's known as a Fresnel lens. It's a design that lets you pack all the focusing power of a really big, thick, heavy lens into a thin, flat sheet. The idea was actually invented for lighthouses, to make those huge glass lenses. But here, that same principle means you can mold this incredibly complex lens array out of a cheap piece of plastic. And this picture shows you exactly what's happening. Each one of those tiny facets on the dome acts like its own little magnifying glass, grabbing the infrared light from a different slice of the room and focusing it right down onto those two little sensor elements. So it takes just two simple sensing spots and multiplies them into this wide, interlocking web of detection beams. It's an absolutely brilliant way to get a huge field of view from one tiny, inexpensive component. Okay, so we've seen the eye, And we've seen the lens. Now let's put it all together. Let's trace the signal from the exact moment you walk into a room to the moment that light finally clicks on.
So here's the play-by-play. 1. You walk into one of those invisible zones created by the Fresnel lens. 2. That lens focuses your body heat down onto one half of the pyroelectric sensor. 3. The sensor sees that positive change we talked about. And 4. The brain chip processes that pulse and spits out a simple digital signal, a high signal, that basically tells whatever it's connected to, hey, we've got movement.
So, if you're going to walk away remembering just 3 things from all this, let it be these. First, these sensors are passive. They're just silent watchers of the infrared world. Second, they detect change. It's all about that rapid shift in heat. And third, the real unsung hero is that cheap plastic dome, the Fresnel lens, that works like a fly's eye, giving the sensor its incredible panoramic vision.
It's just such an elegant, low-power, and crazy effective solution. It really is hidden genius, hiding in plain sight. And it makes you think, right? Now that you understand this principle, this ability to see the invisible world of heat and motion, what other amazing things could you build with it?